So we're raising the question tonight, folks. Organic versus neo-conventional agriculture. What is best for your food? What's best for your health? What's best for the economy? What's best for the environment? We're asking all those questions. So you have anybody you call, anybody, any friend of yours, anybody who you care about your life. We're going to look at it from all angles tonight.
One of the unfortunate things that has happened to us as a people is that somehow somebody has convinced us that we are not a product of nature. And the further we are from nature, then the better we are. And that's how we create cities and concrete jungles and that sort of thing. Because people tend not to want to be associated with things that are natural and that are a part of us. However, that is now changing. There are some people realizing that that is not the better way. That's why we have so many health problems, etc. So it's kind of hard that over the years, even though our forefathers realized the value of biodiversity and not going monoculture, etc. Somehow, we have been pushed to thinking that that is the way to do it. That's the best way to do agriculture. And so even now, what has happened is that that has become ingrained in the psyche of some of the modern farmers. And so if you tell them that, listen, you shouldn't be growing a single crop, they think that you're crazy. To tell them that they need to create diversity, they need to ensure that they have something that is closer to what nature likes, is something hard for some of the persons to accept. They tend to think that that is not agriculture, and they wonder, how are you going to get certain kind of yields, etc., etc. And that's where we say science comes in. You need to start studying the thing, find out what are the things that work together, rather than just remaining in that psyche that you must find one particular crop you want, remove everything from an area and plant that crop. How do you find things that are compatible, things that create an ecological balance, things that actually ensure biodiversity? And if we can get our people to start to change the way they think and to think of agriculture more in terms of creating an ecosystem and a sustainable ecosystem, rather than the way they have been trained over the last 30 years, which is to create a monoculture, which is inconsistent with the laws of nature, lacks biodiversity, and usually is very, very hard to maintain. If we can change that, then we'll start heading in the right direction. Conventional farmer tends to rely heavily on chemical control, and by chemical control, synthetic chemicals is what they rely on. They pay much less attention to things like ecological management, or what we call cultural control or biological control, and they tend not to try to create a system that is balanced. In an organic system, that system is designed in a way to ensure that you do not have the frequent outbreaks that occur in a synthetic system. So you find that an organic system is designed to maintain biodiversity. We usually say that an organic system is done in accordance with nature's laws. And if you look at a forest or any area that's left in fallow, you rarely see one particular crop growing there, you rarely see one type of organism there, etc. And so an organic farm ought to be trying to mimic that situation, setting up a system that works in accordance with nature's laws, that ensures that there is biodiversity. In Jamaica, we are a very small country with very small ecosystems, and sometimes in trying to clear land for agriculture, people are really disrupting large natural ecosystems, and so rarely something that is done one area doesn't affect another area. It's hardly that you end up with a farm that's not close to some other ecosystem. So it's either close to a freshwater ecosystem, or it's not far from the ocean, etc. And so the actions we take in that farming system is going to affect other ecosystems close by. And so in the conventional system, where high levels of synthetic nutrients are used, those nutrients tend to run off. You look at some of our rivers, they are brilliant green. because the nutrients just run off from farms and actually, nourish the algae in the rivers, and you get some of these rivers with too much algae. Organic agriculture, on the other hand, which maintains ecological balance, ensures that no synthetic compounds, whether fertilizers or pesticides, are used, etc., tends to be much kinder to the environment and maintains that ecological balance. And so where you have organic agriculture being the major form of agriculture done in an area, the rivers will remain cleaner, there will be more greater levels of biodiversity there, and it does well in terms of the human population being able to utilize those rivers without any fear that the water is contaminated and cannot be used, because you're not even allowed in organic agriculture. It's not just a case of saying if you're using something that's not synthetic, but because there's this care for the environment, you can't even, you're not even allowed to use something that you may think is approved for organic in a manner that affects the wider environment, because that must be your primary focus, ensuring that you have a healthy environment in the area that you operate. In terms of economic activity, people always say that because there's this feeling that you can never produce things organically in order to make money, and they think it's just some case of people doing things for the love of it. I will agree that not everything can be grown everywhere, and I think as a Caribbean people, there is somewhere in the Caribbean that everything that we need can be grown. So you may not be able to grow all the things you need in one location, right? But you can grow it in other locations, because part of the thing is to make sure you find the areas that are suitable for different things, right? Anything that we can't grow organically in this region, we can do without it in our diet. Organic agriculture should be studied at the highest level because it really requires a strong knowledge base. And it's my hope that very soon, even at the university level, degrees will be offered in organic agriculture, because we really need to understand the different ecosystems throughout the island to see how we can maintain an ecological balance to ensure that we end up with a healthy ecosystem in terms of the farm, which inevitably will then ensure that the wider ecosystem and the ecosystem of the area or in the long run the island will be better, and we won't have to be constantly worried about the poor quality of our water source, etc. So I'm really hoping that we move towards that level where more and more persons realize that there's benefit to be derived from organic agriculture in terms of environmental health, in terms of human health, and of course in terms of economic health.